Hey guys, it's Prince Rich with Rich Technology Group, and in today's video, I got a special surprise for you today. Today, we're going to do a quick overview and review of the top 5 VoIP phones for 2021. So before we get started with this video, as always, these phones were actually sent to me by my friends over at VOIP Supply, who sell IP phones, headsets, accessories, all things you can think of VoIP. Below this video, I'll actually have a link where you can actually see more detailed specifications on each one of these top 5 VoIP phones that we're going to go over. And you can also see pricing and whatnot and speak directly with the VoIP Supply specialist if you've got questions about setup or need more than one or need special pricing or any other type of arrangement or technical requests that you may have for them. So let's hop right into this. Coming in at number 5 on this list is the Fanville X5u. So some of you are probably wondering, Fanville, never heard of it before. We actually had never heard of it either until this phone, the Fanville X5u, was actually sent to us. The Fanville X5u advertises itself as a high-end IP phone. It's also claimed by Fanville to be their #1 most sold phone, I believe for 2020, but also thus far for 2021, which is actually pretty impressive considering Fanville recently released a new line of IP phones. The Fanville X5u sports 16-line capability, dual gigabit Ethernet ports, support for PoE, also called Power over Ethernet, and a 3.5-inch 480 by 320 pixel color display. One of the most unique features about this particular phone, which I'm going to let you guys see here a little closer, is that it has its own built-in shared line appearance card, which sports a 2.4-inch 320 by 240 pixel color side display. What makes this feature so interesting and unique is that I have personally worked with many people that are looking for an IP phone that will give them the ability to take some of the, buttons that they may have like for their actual lines on the other side of the screen and turn them into shared line appearance, which is, while you can do it with a lot of IP phones, it's not really normal. It's kind of a workaround to get shared line appearance or see what other people are doing in the office, like the old school analog phones, but it will take up some of your available lines on your screen. But Fanville has managed to actually get a rare feature of having a shared line appearance, mini card here into the actual screen. And this is an actual LCD screen as well. While expansion cards like that separately, which will typically be off to like the right side of the phone, they usually run, I want to say about $150 to $200. But while they run about that much and sport 36 to 48 buttons, they're expensive. So to be able to have like one built in like this, that's actually a pretty awesome feature. But again, this is basically Fanville's like current flagship phone, the X5u. The X5u also supports built-in Bluetooth, supports wired and wireless headset capability. Wi-Fi is not built in, but the phone does support the ability to use a Wi-Fi dongle. So, our honest thoughts on the Fanville X5u. The design is beautiful and sleek, as you can see. The build is solid. Like, it actually has a really solid, high-quality feel, like some of your higher-end phones out there, like Polycoms and Cisco's. It doesn't feel cheaply made at all. The built-in mini shared line appearance card is obviously an incredible feature add to have that built in and not have to deal with an expansion card. And it's a rare feature in most phones. This phone actually retails for about $98, which is actually pretty impressive. So again, coming in at number 5 on our top 5 VoIP phones for 2021, the Fanville X5u. Coming in next at number 4 for the top 5 VoIP phones for 2021 is the Yaylink T48s. Now, the Yaylink T48s is an older phone. Yealink does have phones currently that are touchscreen that are newer than this phone, but the thing that makes the Yaylink T48s special is even with Yealink's newer touchscreen phones that have come out in the previous year over this phone, we find that people still want and still favor this phone over the new one. Why? Because of compatibility. This phone currently is compatible with Vonage, RingCentral. I've seen Nextiva users that have used it, even though Nextiva says they don't officially support Yealink, and even on-SIP users and more. Many current voice over IP service providers support this phone, and this phone's firmware has matured greatly within the IP phones market with most of the major VoIP service providers. So if you're watching this and you're looking for a good touchscreen phone, this might be the phone for you, the Yaylink T48s. This phone we've also seen offered at great discounts with certain service providers that offer pretty steep promotions on IP phones, depending on what type of agreement you're going into. For example, we've seen Nextiva mostly offer this phone at a pretty good discounts depending on how many users you've got and how many of these phones you need. The Yaylink T48s sports a 7-inch 800 by 480 pixel color touchscreen that's backlit, 16-line capability, dual gigabit Ethernet ports, PoE support, and also USB 2.0 for headsets or optional call recording storage devices. While this phone natively does not have Wi-Fi and Bluetooth built in, with the proper Yealink compatible or generic compatible adapters, or what we call dongle, you can actually get Wi-Fi and Bluetooth support for this phone. For those of you who are familiar with some of Yealink's phones, some of their more popular ones that we've talked about on the channel in previous reviews, this phone, as you can see, is basically a spin-off of the design and chassis format of the legendary Yaylink T46s. But this has a larger display that, unlike the T46s, this is a touchscreen capable phone. My thoughts on the design, or my thoughts on this phone in general. Great design, and as you can see, it's beautiful to look at. It's supported by many voice over IP carriers. Many of the current Yealink touchscreen phones, even though they're nice, and a lot of them actually sport built-in Wi-Fi and Bluetooth with the newer phones, the issue that we've seen currently at the time of this video is most of the VoIP service providers don't currently support all of the newer Yealink touchscreen phones. So that's kind of a deal breaker sometimes for some people that are looking at a particular provider, but they've got their eye on a newer Yealink touchscreen phone. This phone tends to kind of be the one-size-fits-all. It's been well liked in the community, and it has support with most of the major providers. The price is a little high on this phone, coming in at approximately $200, depending on where you get it from, but we don't think that price is actually that bad, considering Yealink is a solid brand, offers good features, and this is a great phone. And also, let's be real, it's a touchscreen. My final thoughts on this phone is I wish it had built-in Bluetooth and Wi-Fi support without all the dongles and whatnot, without all the extra wires. But to be fair, it is an older phone. But despite the fact that it's an older phone, we still get people asking for this phone all the time with specific carriers on their quotes, for their needs or whatever they need. So it's an oldie but goodie. Coming in at number 3 on our list for the top 5 VoIP phones for 2021 is the relatively new but very sought after Yaylink T54w. This phone is actually pretty new, sort of, but it's grown popularity over 2020, and we still have people who are purchasing it on quotes and contracts and also reaching out to us directly to speak with VoIP Supply or to find it online at the price that fits their budget. What makes this phone interesting? Well, we're going to get into that. But before we get into the features and why this phone is interesting, this one actually has kind of a soft spot in my heart because this is actually the phone that I use on my desk currently. The Yaylink T54w has a beautiful 4.3-inch 480 by 272 pixel color display, backlit. It's got a tilt adjustable display, which is a mildly rare feature with most IP phones these days, as you can see here. It's got 16-line capability, as you can see there. It's got 5 buttons on each side, but it also has virtual line capability, so 16-line capability total. It's got dual gigabit ports, which are both Ethernet, of course. It's got PoE support for power over Ethernet, USB support for headsets and devices for call recording storage, and then the biggest feature that it's got that makes it unique, which is why so many people contact us looking for this phone, or contact us trying to find out what VoIP service providers that we recommend that support this phone, is it has built-in Bluetooth and Wi-Fi support with no dongles or extra wires or adapters needed, which is a rare feature and also seems to be the standard in most IP phones that are coming out. But Yealink seems to be one of the few and first manufacturers that is offering this feature in their new line and probably beyond. My thoughts on this phone before we move on. This phone is very popular and it's in high demand because of the elegant design, but because it has built-in Bluetooth and Wi-Fi, especially in a day and age where we live where people are working from home and they're also trying to minimize less is more. So the ability to connect things like to your wireless and to wireless headsets and have less wires in the office or in the home office is just a huge plus. One of the only cons with this phone is this phone at the time of this video is not supported by very many VoIP service providers. So we find that when people contact us looking for this phone, we end up having an interesting caveat where we have to start by looking at the VoIP service providers that support this phone and then narrow down those voice over IP service providers based on which one has the features, the function, and the budget as a VoIP service provider for the client in that manner. So folks that call us that say, hey, Prince, I need you and your team to help me find the best VoIP service provider, but we want to use the Yaylink T54w, it kind of narrows them down right out the gate. Not saying that that's a bad thing, but we suspect that as time progresses, this phone will, because we've seen through the ranks that it's gaining more popularity in general, we only can suspect or can assume that most of the voice over IP providers out there are going to start, doing their due diligence on the development side to create firmware that supports this phone so that they can, get the best of both worlds. Get people the phone that they want, but also get them on their platform, which is what the service providers want at the end of the day. So we only expect good things from this phone and more support as time progresses. This phone retails for approximately $200, and as mentioned before, I'll have links below this video and in our blog where you guys can find this phone. You guys should have known there was no way we're going to do a top 5 VoIP phones video for 2021 and overpass the opportunity to show you guys a great cordless. So, coming in at number 2 for the top 5 VoIP phones for 2021 is the famed Yaylink W60p cordless IP phone. Now, really quickly, some of you are probably watching this and thinking, well, when I Google it, it comes up as W56H. So to be clear, the W60p is the kit, which has everything you see here, the base, the actual handset, the power plug, and then the actual receiver, which is not in this video because it's plugged into my network, that actually transmits the voice from your internet back to the handset that you see here. What is the W56H is the actual handset that you see here. And then the W60p, as in Paul, is the actual kit, which is what we call the dumb electric charger, the actual handset, the power plug, which is also USB, by the way, which can be unplugged like so that you can charge it on the back of a Yaylink phone that's got USB, or charge it from like a laptop or some sort of other USB compatible device. But that is the W56H handset, which is part of the W60p kit. The Yaylink W60p cordless IP phone sports a 2.4-inch 240 by 320 color screen display, and it has a very intuitive user interface. I actually personally use this in the office, and it still is, after almost 3 years straight, what we consider to be the end-all be-all for cordless. Yaylink, at the time of this video, from what I understand, has not released a newer cordless that supersedes this, but when they do, you guys better believe I'm going to review it. So this cordless, anytime anybody contacts us and needs a cordless, this is the one that they go with. It supports up to 8 simultaneous line capability, and the biggest thing, it has a 30-hour talk time. Now, I can't say that I've personally tested that, but I talk on the phone all day, every day, helping folks like you guys figure out what the best phone service and best phone hardware is, and I've never had this thing die. I've never even had it go down to 1 bar after using it in an entire day. It's got a super quick charge up time at 10 minutes charge time. Well, according to the specifications, it says that 10 minutes of charge time gives you 2 hours of talk time. So even if you did prove me wrong and you killed the battery on this thing, you know, you could go have yourself a cup of coffee or go outside, you know, take a breather for 10 minutes, and that should get you potentially through the rest of your day. While I have never personally used a headset with the Yaylink W60p cordless phone, it does have a 3.5 millimeter headset jack on the bottom of it for those of you that want to go hands-free or something like that. And also the charger that you see down there is wall mountable. So my honest thoughts on this phone before we move on to number one. At the time of this video, it pretty much is the end-all be-all for cordless IP phones. It is supported by pretty much every service provider out there, every major provider. We've got customers that we've worked with that use this thing with like TalkDesk. We've seen people use it with RingCentral. We've seen people use it on RingCentral Nice and Contact, OnSip, Vonage. Even though Nextiva again claims that they do not fully support or certify Yealink, we've actually got users that we believe have used this. It is a well-loved phone, and it is pretty much anytime anybody calls me in like retail, restaurant, construction, real estate, home office, you know, big office, anything like that, and they want a cordless IP phone so that they're not tethered to a desk, this is the one that they get, no question. I'm not saying there isn't other cordless IP phones out there, but this is without question, at the time of this video, probably for almost 2.5, 3 years straight that we've been doing this and playing in the IP phone hardware space, it is the #1 cordless IP phone. This phone retails for approximately $140 US, and it does include for that price the battery charger and the wireless base and everything that you see here that I mentioned ready to go. Coming in at number 1 is the famed, the legendary Poly Vbx 250. Formerly known as Polycom, the Vbx 250 from Poly really doesn't need an introduction. At first glance, it doesn't look like much, even though my wife has seen it and she thinks it's absolutely beautiful. But part of the reason that this phone is #1 on our list and has consistently made #1 in several categories is because it is favored by most of the VoIP service providers. This phone not only has a feature-rich, it's not only got a lot of features packed into a small footprint. This is the phone that most all the VoIP providers at the time of this video, Vonage, Nextiva, OnSip, will give as the free phone. But I know what a lot of you are thinking. You're probably thinking, oh, the free phone is probably not their great phone. It's probably not their flagship. Actually, that's not correct. So let's hop into it. The Polycom Vbx 250, or Poly Vbx 250, as it is currently called with Polycom's recent name change, sports a 2.8-inch 320 by 240 pixel color LCD display. It's got 4-line capability, as you can see here to the left of the little screen. It's got Polycom's signature HD voice technology, which when I say it's HD voice technology, the speakerphone sounds like the person that is sitting in the room, the person on the phone is sitting in the room next to you. It does sport dual gigabit ports. Despite its small size, it's got all that packed into the back of it. And it does have PoE support for power over Ethernet. It does have USB ports on it. I want to say it's got 2 ports on it, which allows for you to connect a USB headset as well as have space for an external storage device for call recordings or whatever it may be. Or you could use that extra port to charge something that's on your desk with you, like a cell phone, or I've even seen some people use the extra USB port or the USB port in general to power like a ring light or something like that for virtual meetings that might be on their desk next to their laptop and their phone. My final closing thoughts on this phone. It's got Polycom's HD voice technology, which I already mentioned. For those of you who are new to Polycom, it's incredible. Speakerphone on Polycom phones is like speakerphone like you've never experienced. Whereas traditionally, cell phone speakerphones usually suck, and cheap IP phones, speakerphones aren't that great. You may find that you end up using Polycom's speakerphones quite often because they're HD voice. The receiving and the sound in for the person that you're talking to is just absolutely excellent. And they have great built-in audio fencing, not only on the speakerphone, but also inside of the actual handset as well, for decent noise cancellation, which is unrivaled compared to most other typical desk phones. It's a very small phone. I know it's hard to kind of tell with it not sitting next to the other phones that we've reviewed today, but it is actually really little. In a society and in a world where everybody is trying to minimalize, less is more, especially where people are working from home, where they may not have a lot of space as it already is, being thrown into a situation where they're having to, at a drop of a moment's notice, figure out how to create a makeshift workspace at home. Having a phone like this that has a great feature set like this, but is this small and packs this much of a punch, is a huge plus in today's work world that we live in. This phone does support Bluetooth and Wi-Fi, but it is not natively built in. You can only achieve Wi-Fi and Bluetooth through Polycom branded dongles and adapters that will allow you to do that. And last but not least, regarding my final thoughts on this phone is still, at the time of this video, almost for 2.5, 3 years strong, the #1 free phone that most voice over IP service providers that offer a free phone promotion, typically on a 36-month agreement, this is still hands down the #1 free phone when it is available and when you can get it. As I mentioned earlier in the video, I'll have some links below this video and in our blog for you guys where you can actually go and see where you can purchase these phones, as well as see more detailed specifications. If you're watching this video and you're thinking, hey, I like those phones I saw, but I need voice over IP service, and you'd like to find out what voice over IP service provider not only supports the phone or phones that you saw in today's video, but has the features and has the functionality, the customer service, and whatever it is that you're looking for your business communication needs, hit me up. Hit me up via our website link in the description below, or you can call me on the number below, and I'm more than happy for me and my team to chat with you about what your needs are, and we can match you up with the voice over IP service provider that has the right price, right budget, right feature set, and supports one or more of the phones that you saw in this video today that you're interested in. As always, we represent all of the service providers on the market. We can and will get you better pricing than if you shop direct. So please come to us first so that we get credit and you also get the better price, the better offer, and also get our free consulting and assistance. If you found this video helpful, please like the video. Don't forget to hit that notification bell and subscribe to our channel. We upload new videos every single week. As always, Prince Rich with Rich Technology Group, your go-to guy for the best deals on business, phone, and internet service in the United States. I'll catch you guys again in the next video.